faith, harmony, peace. Can you find any of these in today's world, in today's society, and in your faith? Well, I think you can. And stay tuned, and we'll talk about how you can find that peace and harmony. Hi, my name is Kevin VanHall.
Hi, and I'm Duke Lackey. Welcome back to Faith in Today's World. Kevin and I are having a conversation. How do we be faithful in a world where people will take the name of Jesus and do things that doesn't sound like Jesus? And how do we remain faithful in this world we're living in?
All right. Well, Duke, you're looking good this morning.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're looking real good because last time we talked, you looked perplexed.
Oh, man. Still perplexed. Still perplexed. Still trying to figure it out, but having a little bit of hope that harmony is possible.
Harmony, peace is possible. That's going to be the emphasis of our podcast today. We're continuing on with our series here, referencing Brian McLaren's book, Faith After Doubt. Well, I like to call it Faith with Doubt. It never really completely leaves us.
Right.
We use it and we transfer it into growing our faith instead of crushing our faith.
Yeah.
Stage 1, simplicity, easy. Stage 2, complexity, start to have doubt. Stage 3, perplexity. Last week,
don't trust it. We don't trust anything that have been told us. We've got to. We're reassessing everything. That's perplexity.
Yeah, nothing made sense, and it's easier to just quit and leave versus trying to figure out because it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But it's a lonely place. That's a dark place to be. Do you really want to stay there?
Yeah. Where do you find community? Where do you find the place where you can share your doubt, you can share your perplexity, and people will still love you.
Right. So you want to move out of that stage, that third stage. Your ultimate goal is to find some harmony, is to find peace. I call it peace. Brian McLaren calls it harmony. And today that's going to be the emphasis of our discussion. How do we get there? How do you stay there? Duke, I think I've been there a couple of times before, but I can't stay there. I keep coming back to perplexity.
Right. And I think the fact that we're human, the fact that we have egos prevents us from staying there all the time.
Right.
John Wesley, he would quote the doctrine of perfection from Matthew, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Now, that doesn't mean we don't do anything wrong. Wesley understood perfection to be able to love with the love of God. And he said, we can do that. But we don't stay there.
Yeah.
Wish we did. I wish, man, I want peace. I want everybody just to get along. I don't want any conflict. I want that, and I want that all the time, but that's just not how this world works. And so the invitation is to practice, to put ourselves in a position to experience and to receive that. We don't earn it. We don't create it. We don't make it. But we can enter into it.
Right.
And so that's
ego
gets in the way.
Ego gets in the way.
Ego always gets in the way, yes.
It gets in the way. We have to have all the answers, having this need to have everything answered. And sometimes we just need to just accept that the mystery of God, don't understand it. We're not going to understand it, and be okay and be at peace with that. Can you be at peace with just, I don't know, and
be
that's
okay with not being okay? That's kind of the trick, to know that even though I don't understand it, even though I'm out of control, which is Richard Rohr's definition of suffering, being out of control, I think he's spot on with that. I know in my own personal life, when I'm out of control, I'm very unhappy.
Right.
But can we have that? Can we have an experience of the holy, a oneness, even in those moments?
Right. Well, I'm going to do another shout out here for Richard Rohr, his latest book here, The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr. I think that might have been backwards the way I held up the book. He talks about this universal Christ. Christ is open to everyone, and it talks about our spirituality, and we need to see God in everything, in the creation, all living things, just not in a few chosen people, and we need to focus more on love. Wouldn't you agree?
Exactly. And I believe that's where Brian McLaren takes us in the book Faith Beyond Doubt. He takes us to a faith that has expressed itself in love. And as we understand that as the goal, it's always good to begin with the end in mind. Where are we moving? Where are we headed toward? And so he's suggesting a faith that expresses itself in love. And when I say love, I'm not talking about a feeling. I'm not talking about a sentimentality. Love as defined by the person of Jesus. Love is defined by his teachings and the example of his life. And as a Christian, that's kind of our foundation. That's kind of how we look at love.
Yeah. Well,
And he goes on to say, he says it's a revolutionary love. So for example, marriage. I went when Bettina and I got married. We went with friends of ours to a Catholic retreat for people who are getting ready to get married. I've lost the name. But the priest told us, he said that love that we're committing to in marriage is not a feeling, it's a decision. In the marriage ceremony, we ask, will you love? Kevin, will you? Duke, will you? It's not how we feel now.
right.
We're making a promise about how we're going to behave in the future.
Yeah. Or will
And
you
we're going to
still love
behave
me? Yeah.
lovingly in the future in spite of how I feel. And that's when true love happens. When your spouse, your good friend, when people are hard to love, that's when we begin to love.
Right. Well, you
Uh,
talked
and
about the foundation there and the pillars, and I think you hit it. You talked about love. To me, I think the true pillars of true Christianity, which means really trying to follow the teachings and following Jesus, not just believing in Jesus, actually trying
right.
to be
Yes,
more
right.
Christ-like. We're
Not
Christians
agreeing
today.
intellectually, but actually living
Well,
it out. Right.
yeah, Christians, they might say it, but don't necessarily live it. It's something that pops in my head. Remember the movie Talladega Nights?
Yes.
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky
Ricky Bobby
Bobby.
had two first names. He
Yes.
said he would slam the owner of his team and just tell him all terrible things. And he started off and he goes, "With all due respect, you're just a
Ah.
blah 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 blah." And the guy goes, I don't think you should say that. You can't say that." He goes, I can. I can say whatever as long as I like, as long as I say with all due respect first,
That's right. That's right.
right? So I can do whatever I want to do, but because I'm a believer in Jesus, as long as I say I love
Right.
Jesus, I hate you. I'm not going to treat you the way, but I love Jesus, so I'm saved, and I don't have to worry about being a good person. I've got my golden ticket punched.
The hypocrisy is, I think you're going to share this later, but hypocrisy is the number one reason why folks don't go to church. And in my churches, I always use the term authenticity as one of our core values.
Right.
We, our words and our actions have got to be in alignment. And when that doesn't happen, then our witness suffers. And it's hard. And that's why we need community, because I don't know. I think I'm doing just fine. But Kevin, I need you to say, well, dude, look, you're not quite right here. And so we need that for one another. And authenticity says, I'm not going to get it right. And because I know that I'm not going to get it right, I've got to be humble in my judgment of anybody and everybody else. But it's hard to keep that humility when you see injustice and you want to just fix it.
Right. And we got to remember how Jesus came into the world, was helping everyone. Did you ever see or know a story where Jesus punished someone? Did he just?
Right. Well, there are a few scripture passages where he gets on people,
He
and
does.
the only people he judges are the rich people and preachers. So we rich pastors better watch out. Because that's the only people, the people who have power, who hold on to their power and don't share it with those who do not have power. To me, that is the heart of the love that Jesus expresses. Jesus, has all the power of God, set it aside and sought to build up those who don't have
Right.
power.
Oh,
That is the essence of his life and how he loved.
yeah, he'd
And
give
if
him
we
a talking
make
to. The
he did
Pharisees,
give
he'd give him a talking. You
he
brood of vipers, you
that's r
hypocrites.
that's
But
right,
but
that's
he
right.
didn't friggin' bring down and strike, lightning and
Yeah.
wipe them out.
Oh,
There was none of
no,
that.
the disciples wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
And he when the, Samaritans didn't wanna hear the word from Jesus, the disciple says, "You want us to call fire from heaven to destroy them?" Yeah, no, can knock the dust off your feet and move on. Jesus is always invitational,
Right.
not coercive.
Right.
He's invitational,
Right.
and, we're always invited to follow.
Well, you talked about the, numbers there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out some numbers here for just a minute, take
Right?
over a little second. We talked about the reason people leave the church, hypocrisy. So faith in today's world is moving away from a church-centered community life. 90% of Americans identified themselves as Christian in 1972. In 2025, that number has dropped to 62%. Majority of the people claim these are numbers from the pewresearch.org
Yeah,
number.
yeah, I hear that, again, this came to me. We talked about this earlier, but it just came to me. In 1972, the church was the only show in town. We had blue laws. Nothing else was open. A hospital was open. The police may roam the street a little bit, but everything was closed in 1972. So if you want to do something, you'd go to church. And so we lost our blue laws. Christianity was no longer the center, defining factor for our world.
Mhm.
So those 60% who identify as Christians and those who choose to go to church on Sunday are choosing to do so over everything else that could possibly be done. So those 60%, I think they may be a pretty hardy bunch.
Well,
They're
that
they're an
number is
aging
actually it's
they're an
leveled
aging
off.
bunch.
It is.
They're an aging bunch, but they're a pretty hardy bunch because I can do anything I want on Sunday morning, right? Everything's open.
Yeah.
So to make a choice to be a part of a faith community is truly a choice today.
Right.
In the 70s, it was more so was it how much was it social, how much it was a choice to really follow Jesus. Um, and
Well, at
so,
least at least identified themselves. They were
yeah,
steady churchgoers
at
for.
least nominal Christians.
But in today's world, people don't have a problem with saying I'm leaving the faith. And you mentioned
Correct. You're exactly
hypocrisy
right.
is a big reason. They don't understand the whole political alignments and LGBTQ teachings, and they've also had a negative experience, either in their church or in their faith. And another one, a big
So
one,
they felt judged
or wronged,
or
abused,
wronged by
children wronged. Yeah,
abused by the church or right. So there's some um uh something that has happened.
right.
They wanted to sit in the pew and somebody said, "Excuse me, but that's my seat."
Probably a little bit more negative
Well, that's no small thing.
than that.
People who go to church today are hungry for something. And if we don't recognize that everybody who walks through the door that's new, either just moved to town and is a longtime Christian, or they're really searching for something. And so how we greet them and welcome them and bring them into the faith community is critical, or we'll
Right,
lose them. They'll go somewhere else.
right. And then the explanation of evil and suffering in the world.
Mm.
I have some very good close friends that have basically become agnostic, maybe atheist. They don't like our explanations of, well, that's part of God's plan, or a child
Yes.
dies. Oh, God needs children's little angels in heaven too. Dude, this is
Whoo,
bad
whoo,
theology,
whoo.
is it
Bad
not?
theology. And people are trying to, I want to give them a little bit of grace. They're trying to make it better. They're trying to fix something that can't be fixed. And again, that word authenticity is absolutely critical because you can't fix the loss of a child.
No.
You can't fix the loss of someone who dies way too young because of cancer. That is not going to be fixed and that can't be made right. And so if you begin with, as Brian McLaren talks about, you begin with a set of beliefs and you defend those beliefs even beyond your own experience. Beliefs get you in the right ballpark. They're the beginning point. They're not the end point. And so if you begin with a set of beliefs, then you got to twist yourself into all kinds of pretzels to keep those beliefs intact. I believe that the invitation of Jesus, he didn't say beliefs, he said love. He said, follow me. Beliefs are absolutely important. They get you in the right ballpark, as Richard Rohr would like to say. But beliefs are the beginning point. And so when we try to talk about evil in this world and answer the question of evil in this world, if you begin with, oh, God is all powerful, you're never going to come to a satisfactory answer. Because if God is all powerful, why did God let this happen?
Or all loving, all benevolent, and why
Yes.
if he had the
If
ability
he's
to
all that.
change if he had the ability to change it, why doesn't he? Why does he allow it?
Right.
And
Right.
again, this is going to put you in a perplexity stage. You're going to stay there trying to answer these questions. You're going to have to just say, I don't know, and move on. That's the
Yeah.
only way you're going
But
to
I think
find
but
peace.
the perplexities asking the questions is absolutely important. I think you need to ask the questions until you're blue in the face. I think you need to go to the invitation as a clergy would say, go to God with that. Tell God your anger. Tell God your frustration. Because if you're mad at God, at least you're still in a relationship with God. The scary point is that you get so frustrated you just quit.
You just quit.
You just quit. Then
Right.
there's no chance for God to be revealed to you.
Right. So back to today's emphasis here is we've been
Harmony.
harmony, peace, trying to give you some tools or some way to get there. And don't beat yourself up. You might be able to get there. Good luck staying there. it, it,
That's right. That's
it
right.
ain't easy.
It's not. No.
No, there's
And
so
it's
much going on in the world politically and in the church of faith and other things. You just, as soon as you find some peace and harmony, you just go, why? And
so
you just right back.
I think I shared this. I don't remember sharing with everybody or just you. But I had a fellow I was working with. I was being trained as a spiritual director, and he was kind enough to let me practice on him. And he was 10 or 15 years older than me. He was really, really nice. And he said, Duke, he said, I keep waiting to cross the goal line and spike the ball. And he was speaking spiritually. I keep waiting till when am I going to get there? When am I going to arrive? And I said, well, when you're 6 feet under the ground, that's about when. But I understand that desire of wanting to get there and stay there. But it's about the journey and the process. It's not about the destination.
Right,
The destination happens, the destination comes as a gift, and our task is to stay on the journey.
right,
So, thinking about harmony or peace, John 15 is my favorite chapter in Scripture. I am the vine, you are the branches. Abide with me, and I will abide with you. Um, and that sense of abiding, I believe, for me, is that invitation to live in peace. And I know that when I'm abiding, I'm not always going to be happy. I'm not always going to like what's going on. And it cannot be okay that I'm angry as all get out because of what I see happening in the world, uh, and expressing that anger in some form or fashion. And can I still be in harmony?
yeah. Well,
I would say, I would say yes.
okay, okay.
I
So
would say yes in that God is still with me. God isn't done with me. God is not finished with me.
okay. So I'm going to bring up a point here, a little poke the bear a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Poke it.
It's faith in today's world, our podcast. So often, faith in today's world, we want to concentrate on revelations. We want to say, it doesn't matter. The way I find my peace and harmony is I can be a turd my whole life, be a jerk. I believe in Jesus. I'm saved. All I care about, I can ruin the world, the environment. Who cares about this? It's all about money, greed. Doesn't matter. In the end, Jesus is going to come
Right.
back. I'm going to be saved. He's going to create a new world. Doesn't matter. I'm at peace. So this kind of mentality that it's individual, it's selfishness, individualistic. That I've got
Right.
mine. I'm going to be saved. I don't care about you. So if you want to just worry about your own inner peace at the expense of others, that's not Christ-like at all, is it?
I think you're exactly right. I think uh, the Enlightenment uplifted the individual. I didn't have to become a an insurance salesman because my dad was an insurance salesman. I could I could I could follow my own dream. And the Enlightenment began to say, "Oh, the individual matters. How can I live my life in a way that glorifies God?" And so the individual is lifted up in Western society. I think that is a good thing, but we can't lift up the individual at the expense of society, at the expense of others. And I think that's where the hypocrisy that so many people see in religion today is that I'm only concerned about me getting to heaven. But you bring up social issues in church, people are going, why are you talking about politics in church? Did Jesus not care about the fact that people are being oppressed? That people are going hungry? Yes, I think, yeah, it's not about the individual, it's about the community, and it's about giving witness to God's kingdom in those.
Right.
So how do you see individualism as compared to social? What would harmony look like for you in terms of individualism?
I think it does have to start actually with the personal. In my own sense of peace, mind, body, and soul. I do have to feed my own body,
Yes,
my mind, and my soul, and I turn to faith in God. But I find joy in trying to help others, not put others down. I find peace in trying to lift up others instead of pushing them down. When you stop going, what's in it for me, and start going, well, how about them?
right.
What's wrong with them? And when you have that sense of community that you can help them if you can, it's like giving and receiving. There's joy in both. There's just as much joy in giving as there is in receiving. I actually feel guilty
Right,
about receiving sometimes in my life that I'm not doing
right,
enough.
right.
And if everyone felt more like that way, this place would be so much better place. I think we need to concentrate on just making this place right now today into a better place instead of just waiting for Jesus to come back and fix everything. It's been 2,000 years.
Yeah. The
It-
theology of the rapture
yeah,
is not biblical. It's something that was developed by Darby in the 18th century, is not biblical, and the whole sense of, oh, well, the world's gonna be destroyed, and God's gonna take us, so we don't have to care about the environment. That is a dangerous theology. Or I'm going to heaven, and I don't have to worry about the suffering of these other people. Let them take care of it.
yeah.
I just don't see that as Jesus,
I don't
as
either.
faithful either.
And I don't see how you could really live with yourself, find peace and harmony in that way. The way I find peace and harmony in is going back to the biblical teachings. Paul says it: faith, hope, and love. Greatest of these is love.
The greatest of these is love.
You've got to keep your faith. Without faith or love, there's not going to be any hope. So
Right, right.
we'll leave the fixing and the saving for God, but I'm going to try to do and be the best person that I can be while I'm here on earth. I don't want my tombstone to go, man, he was a greedy SOB. What a
Right, correct.
jerk. But
Right,
at least maybe he made it into heaven.
right,
I want people to say that this man was a great father, a great neighbor, friend.
right.
That's what I want my epitaph to say. I don't want it to say, boy, he made millions of dollars. Because that's going with me in the next life, isn't it, Duke, right?
Yeah, yeah. Right, right.
So, and
That's like the rich guy who talked Peter into going back and bringing some stuff with him. Peter said, "All right, do it." And he goes back and sells it, brings back 2 suitcases full of gold. And he showed Peter what it was, and Peter says, "Why did you bring tar?" Because the streets are lined with
yeah,
gold. There's nothing. That doesn't mean anything up here.
yeah. Oh, you're going to have a hard time explaining yourself when you're a billionaire and say, well, what did you do for all the others that were starving? What does Jesus say? It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a
I have a
needle.
needle.
Now, let's
Yeah.
find some
Now
peace and harmony.
you're talking Jesus now. You're gonna get in trouble because People don't want to hear that.
But we want to talk peace and harmony, and I'm
Right.
I'm bad for getting us off subject today. So how are we going to get there? How are we going to find it? Well, we talked about just accepting the mystery of God. So I'm going to bring up an example. All
Okay,
right, all
good.
the different religions, Christian religions, Catholic, Protestants, believe in the Eucharist. Okay,
The Lord's
so
Supper.
the Lord's Supper. So what is that? When we give communion at church, in the Methodist Church, there, pastor for how many years? What is your belief?
So, as United Methodists, we understand that we have two sacraments, baptism and communion. And a sacrament is an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace. It's what God is giving us a physical way of looking, seeing, and touching what God is doing within us and within the community. Okay, so it's a visible sign of what God is doing. And so when we celebrate communion, we open it to everyone because we believe that this is a means of grace. We believe that God is inviting us to the Lord's table. And then as we come with an open heart, God touches us, God forgives us, God restores us, God strengthens us, that this is a saving moment. And we believe that in the communion event, that God is saving.
So
So
is the
as
bread God?
so as we remember this in the Methodist Church, in Protestantism, we say no, it's not. Uh, Catholics believe in transubstantiation, which
Yeah.
means the bread and juice becomes the actual body and blood of Christ. Methodists believe in consubstantiation. We believe that the presence of God is at work in the moment as we remember the suffering love of God through Jesus. As we remember he suffered and died and that he was resurrected and that the Holy Spirit was sent. In telling this story, we make it a present reality. It's not just an event that happened 2,000 years ago that we're thinking about. This is a present moment in sharing this Eucharist. God is saving, and you can be a part of that saving work.
Right.
And so that's how we think about it.
It's a
Um,
great explanation, and a lot of people have problems with that. They can't understand it. They can't accept that.
right.
In today's world where science, it does explain a lot. Science cannot explain everything. And if you want to find that harmony and peace, and you want to believe, you should believe in God. We don't have all the answers. Stop thinking that science has all the answers and that
Right.
we're just so arrogant. But science has a lot of
We're
great
entering
answers.
we're entering a mystery. We allow infants and children to come to communion. We do it because they will say, well, they don't understand what's going on. Well, the question I would ask is, do you really understand what's going on in communion? Do I really understand what's going on in communion? It's a mystery. We're entering into a mystery that we have named God. We're entering into a mystery that unites us uh, with God and with people throughout the world and throughout history. When we come to the table, we believe that anybody that comes to the table, everybody, first of all, we believe in universal invitation, that everybody in the world is invited to the table. And we also believe that when we come to the table, that that we are a part of God's kingdom, not just people who are alive, but through anyone, through all of the ages, who has lived in communion with God.
Right. Right. Well, a lot of
It's a mystery.
people, yeah, well, it is it's mystery. I just let it be.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just let it be.
Right,
It's just like the Trinity. Some people have a hard time with the whole Trinity theology. Three and separate, three and one, God,
right.
Father, and Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit. Um, I don't have to have it, like we said earlier, I don't have to have an explanation for everything. But some people have such a hard time in order to find that harmony and peace, they leave it all together, but they still find a spirituality. If you go out and in nature, and they can find,
That's the
McLaren says that people find spirituality, they find peace in nature. And I would have to say that's part of the mystery of God because God is in all living things. That is his creation. You're separating yourself from the noise. You're getting away from people, the rhetoric, the lies. You can't decide what's true, what's not true anymore. And when you get out there and isolate yourself, that's probably when you're finding peace. So
solitude.
that's solitude. So it's separating yourself from the noise. So how do we do that? How do we? I turn off
But,
social media. I turn off the news and social
yeah.
media. That's how I do it. I don't know. How do you do it, Duke?
Yeah, so that I don't do a very good job of it these days. But I think that's it. I think solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is the invitation to step aside and to find that way that's unique to me and unique to you, that we can connect to the holy. Richard Rohr and Brian McLaren talk about centering prayer as the practice that helps us to
So,
do that.
hmm
So centering prayer is simply trying to be present, um, recognizing that you are not your thoughts, being present to God,
yeah,
and it's a practice of shutting your mind off. And the way it works, simply real quick, simply the way it works is you take a holy word, love, and you repeat the holy word until you kind of shut your mind off. Now, in about 3 seconds, your mind's going to come back on. And your mind's going to go everywhere. You're going to think of something, you're going to hear something, it's going to go. And when you recognize that your mind has gone somewhere else, you take a deep breath, you speak your holy word until you're centered again. And the power of this is to recognize that we can observe our thoughts. We are not our thinking. And I like to say that my mind has a mind of its own. And the invitation is to quiet the noise, to quiet the voices, to be open, and it's an intentionality of open ourselves to the holy, open ourselves to the Spirit.
right.
And in a 20-minute time period, you may experience it 20 seconds. But if you can experience 20 seconds in a 20-minute time period, maybe when I find my brain going crazy during the day, I can take a deep breath and discover that again.
Right. Well, meditation is a great way. A lot of religions are very hard on Buddhism, Hinduism,
Oh,
very peaceful religions, very big on that meditation. I have a hard time with it. Mine, I'm sitting there and a squirrel,
that's right. That's exactly
and
right. That's
I
exactly right.
but I go for a walk.
Walk.
I
Hmm.
just go for a walk. I let my body and my mind move a little bit, but then I can get back to focusing what I need to get focused on. So,
Right.
great example. I know you got something to say there, but I was going to bring up a great example here of keeping your eyes not on the prize. We already talked about that. Quit worrying about just concentrating on the salvation. Eyes on Jesus. Great example is that is when
Right.
Jesus walks on water, walks out to the boat,
Yeah.
and he sees him on the boat, and Peter goes, "Is that you?" Because they're scared at first. There's a ghost. He goes, "Yes, it's me. And if it's you, tell me to come out there." So Peter steps out of the boat, and what happens, Duke?
He walks on the water.
Walks
He's
on
walking on
water
the water toward Jesus. And
in the
then,
midst of a storm.
that's right, his eyes are fixed on Jesus. But then what does he do?
He takes his eyes off of Jesus.
And he looks, the storm captures his attention.
The storm captures his
His
attention, and then
attention.
what happens?
Well, he starts to sink.
He starts to sink. "Oh Lord, save me!" Right? And what does
Yep.
Jesus say? Jesus says,
He reaches down and grabs him.
"Yep." He says, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Why did you let that doubt creep in? We just said that doubt necessarily isn't bad, but sometimes I guess it could be a little destructive, is it not?
Well, if doubt, McLaren says doubt is love. That doubt is a way of love. That I love God enough and trust God enough that I can ask the questions. And now Peter's instant with the storm, I can understand. Our attention our attention gets distracted, squirrel, and we look at the storm, and then we get to be overwhelmed because we're not going to fix the storm. We're not going to stop the storm,
Right.
and we get overwhelmed and we find ourselves sinking down and sinking down. And that's why the importance of abiding with Christ, as John 15 says, the importance of that centering prayer, that of taking a walk.
Right.
My wife, Bettina, I've shared many times, Bettina likes to dig in the soil. She likes to water her plants and buys these $1 plants from Lowe's that's about dead, and she brings it back to life over a 2-year period. she that's her prayer.
That's the way she works. But if I want to center on that doubt again
Mhm.
that Peter had, he wasn't doubting Jesus
Jesus.
or
No.
Jesus's ability. He was doubting himself. It's that self-doubt that I'm not worthy, I'm not capable. How am I out here? I know why he's walking on the water. I know who he is.
Right.
How am I walking on the water? And then Jesus is saying, why are you doubting that? I told you to come. If I told you to come and it would be okay, then you're letting yourself doubt in, but then you're
That's
starting to
great.
doubt
That's
Jesus
good.
again.
That's good. So the theology of, a lot of American theology begins with we're going to hell. We're bound for hell.
Yeah, well, yeah,
We're bound, and we
and a
begins
handbasket too, by the way.
yeah, that's right. We begin with this sense of just pure evil. It's almost as if we're pure evil. As Methodists, we always begin with God's grace, that you're created in the image of God. You're alive because God's breath is breathed into you. Now, sin is a reality. The ego wants to be in charge. I want to be able to stand up in the midst of the storm on my own power. That's just the ego at work.
Or
But Jesus seems to think, come on, you can join me out here in the storm and you can stay above the storm. That's what Jesus thinks about you.
yeah,
That's what Jesus believes, that we can enter into the storm and stay above the storm and in communion and centered in Christ.
right.
Harmony.
So find that harmony. Quit trying to fix why is there a storm. Quit trying to stop the storm.
Right.
Just accept the fact that there's going to be a storm. In Buddhism, the quote is, it says, life is suffering. Life is suffering. Why? Well, then they understand that that's just the way it's going to be. You know how many people leave the faith of Buddhism, Duke? Here's some more numbers.
No, I hadn't heard of that. Give me that.
It's somewhere between 3 to 5%, and it's only the young people in the Western Hemisphere that might do it. And when they leave, it's not like they're joining Christianity. They just become unaffiliated, just like most of the people that leave the Christian faith become
Right.
unaffiliated. They don't understand it, so they just leave it completely. Same percentage
So
for
Buddhism, quote, is not a religion. They do not claim to be a religion.
they don't worship a god, right? Correct.
They claim their practices. These are
Yes.
practices that you follow to have enlightenment, that will lead you to enlightenment,
Right. To peace, to harmony.
to
Exactly.
peace, and to harmony. Yep.
Yeah, their three jewels are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha of community, which is awakening of the teacher, teachings of truth, and the community of followers. See, there's a community there. In order to find that
Right.
peace and harmony, it's with others that think and feel like you do to help one another. Right?
Right.
They believe in wisdom, ethical conduct, and their mental discipline, meditation are their three things as well. So there's a lot of parallels there.
A whole lot of parallel.
Hinduism.
Every faith, especially if it's been around for a while,
Yeah.
there's prayer, there's community, there's worship, um, there's right and wrong. There's there's a sense of morality,
Yeah.
and a sense of way of determining that morality. There's a sense for caring for others. So all of the faiths in the world kind of boil down to those types of things.
Yeah, they all say it. It's just a matter of
They
actually
say it
doing
different.
practice.
Now it's not the same. They're not but there's enough similarity that there's truth that's being revealed.
All right. So how many
Kinda
people
how
leave the
it's been.
faith of Hinduism?
Okay, yeah.
1%. Born into Hinduism, and most people born into it actually stay. These again numbers from the PewResearch.com.
Right.
People stay if they leave. It's Western world, not from India or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, where it's very, very, very strong. They get into Western beliefs, and then they become unaffiliated. It's not like they're converting to Christianity; they just become unaffiliated. Again, huge. They believe in righteous, moral, and ethical conduct.
Hmm.
Karma is cause and effect. Everyone understands the karma.
Yeah.
Award and punishment. It goes back to early Judaism and
Yeah.
even Christianity.
That's right.
Some of these things have not changed.
So I don't know. Do they believe it all happens in this lifetime, or does reward and punishment? See, we
Well,
heaven
that's
and
just it.
hell,
It's
heaven
recycled.
and
They
hell
believe.
kind of have been developed because we see that it's not happening in this world, and we hope there's some justice in the next.
Right. Well, they come back to this world. See, we
Oh,
make
that's
this.
right.
They should make a world, but they believe in reincarnation. If you didn't get it right the first time, you come back until you
Okay,
finally
that's
get
right.
it right. So
Right.
they believe in the reincarnation, recycling, rebirth to come back in until you can find that moksha. I think it's the ultimate liberation is when you finally get it right. We don't believe that we're ever going to get it right in this lifetime, and we're just going to get it right in the next one. God's going to
Right.
fix everything. Versus, why don't we try to fix it now and live a better
Yeah.
life? Now, I don't know. There's something to be said about some of those teachings. Islam. How many people leave Islam? Again, in the
Yeah.
Western Hemisphere, 25% are leaving, and they go, again,
Yeah.
unaffiliated. They don't go to any of the religions. They get exposed to other ways and teachings. And one of the reasons is the violent reactions to those not in their religion. They don't like it's much as like people leaving Christianity, they don't like the unethical treatment of gays, LGBTQ community. They
Okay.
don't like the way that
The
women are,
judgmentalism,
the
the
judgmentalism, and the
faith
way that
becomes known as judgmental as opposed to life.
and the whole gender thing of how women are treated in their
Right.
religion and stuff like that. So these are just so a lot of people are having doubt. A lot of people are struggling with their faith. A lot of people are finding harmony leaving, and I can understand that.
And in all of these religions, there's a lot of people who are trying to maintain what has always been through coercion and violence, trying to, make sure, well, it's amazing how many women and women of color who are being fired in our society, in our government these days.
Right.
And the whole theology that there's a God, Jesus, men, women, and children. That is a theology that is taught and it is widely accepted in our society. And that there is this pyramid of authority and this pyramid of power.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to impose that on the whole society.
And people
Uh,
are pushing back, is rightly
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Change is hard. Change takes time. And some
But it's
people just
interesting that in the West, that all of these religions, and again, is it good or is it bad? I think there is a mix. I think when the religions are too authoritative or too controlling, or it's just a watchdog making sure you do everything right. I think the folks leaving, I think that's a freedom that we have in the West that they may not have in their
true,
society.
true,
So
very
that's
true.
not necessarily a bad thing. But in our society, it's like we've identified our faith with American exceptionalism so much. And people look around and go, it doesn't seem very exceptional to me.
Right. Well, people are
uh,
leaving because Christian religion faith today doesn't look very Christ-like.
doesn't look
Um,
Christ-like. Yeah. Yeah. There's that inauthenticity.
so a lot of people want to find peace. They want to find harmony. They're not finding it in their church. So here's some. We're going to start wrapping up here. Some ways to find that harmony and peace. Brian McLaren talks about still finding it in communities. Reach out and find others that are just as perplexed as you are. Talk about it. Talk about it with your pastor if you can, other people, neighbors, friends.
Right.
Ask how they deal with it. Find out a way. It's just like with any other anger, grief. Don't try to just go through it alone. Other people seek
Yeah.
counseling. You could even seek counseling if you'd like.
Please, please. Counseling is absolutely uh, a gift of God. To have someone who is trained to listen, and in their listening, they observe contradictions. In their listening, they observe self-hatred, and they're listening, they can help bring to the front an opportunity to grow and mature in a really, really quick period of time.
Right. And for
So
me,
I'm, talking about community. I'm thankful that here in town, there's a gentleman in the church. They're starting some small groups, and he's smart. He's starting a centering prayer group. And so not tomorrow night, this Thursday night, but next Thursday night, we're going to start a centering prayer group in the church. And just I'm going, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord.
yeah, yeah.
I need
You
people. I
you
need
need
people.
you need people. So, and what you don't need are toxic people. Remove those toxic
Right,
people. Remove
right,
those toxic things out of your life that are interfering with you, whether it's social media, the news. Remove the other toxic things that are stopping you from doing things. That your want and greed for money, this selfishness attitude that I deserve more. It's all about me. I don't care about the others. I really feel if you change your attitude, it'll actually reap rewards as
right,
well.
right.
Dukes, what are some other ways you can find harmony? You find harmony and peace.
Well, I think what I'm searching for now is someone before I retired says, when you retire, find your people. You got to find your people. And we moved when I retired, so I'm in a whole new community, and so that's where I'm trying to find people. I'm trying to find that community. So I am looking for that sense of community, and that's really important. But I think there also has to be a way uh, uh, to channel frustration, anger, a sense of blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, says Jesus. When you see that the righteousness, that alignment with God is not happening, uh, we're not going to fix it. But what is a way that I can give witness to God's kingdom, even though I know I'm not going to fix it?
Hmm.
And that's what I'm really searching for that in my life right now, because I do see a lot of what's going on. I am very angry. I hope that the anger can be directed in a way that is life giving. Uh, I do hope that the anger actually speaks some truth. And I believe that's something that hopefully I can do. Can I
Right.
speak the truth of who Jesus is in this world, counter to what he is, how he's being portrayed in society?
Right.
Can I speak that
Can
truth, knowing that nobody's going to listen to me? uh,
Oh, we got tens of followers here on this
so we
podcast,
still got
Duke.
tens of followers. That's
Oh
great.
yeah. Oh
That's good. Thank you for everybody who follows.
yeah. But exactly. And faith in today's world, we talk about that all the time, doesn't always, like we said, it's not 1972 where it is centered around the church anymore. There's a
Right,
lot of interdenominational, non-denominational congregations springing up because people want that sense of community. They were unhappy with their past teachings in church. So
right,
there's a change, there's a shift going on. I would just throw out the don't give up on God. Okay, where's God in all of
right,
this? He's there. We don't see it necessarily. We might not ever see it in our lifetime. It
right,
might not happen. You're going to have to accept that.
right. So I think a lot of the churches that are growing, there may be a lot of stage one and stage two persons. There are people who are searching for a simplicity.
Yeah.
They're wanting to know right and wrong. This world is too changes are taking too place. Just let me find some simplicity in this, and let me find a community that will support that. And that's stage one, and it's vital and important stages in life. But if you stick there, the authoritarians will lead you where they want you to go. And the invitation is to not just accept what is given to you, but to actually begin to search your heart and to see if faith and action are in alignment. And that's where perplexity comes in, and that's the value of perplexity. And I don't believe you can get to harmony without that perplexity, without that doubt.
Right.
That honest search of, this doesn't feel right. This is not lining up.
Yeah. And it's different for all of us, for everyone. We're all different. And, but this is going to conclude our podcast for today. This is going to conclude our series on the faith after doubt, or faith with doubt, and how it affects our faith. And going forward in future, in next podcast, we'll start talking about if it's not working for me, what do I do? Do I stay Christian? McLaren's come out with another book. Do I stay Christian? Do you leave the faith to find that peace and harmony? We're going to give arguments why you should stay centered on Christ, like we talked about, because
in community,
it is there. The teachings are there. If you're not getting it where you currently are, then search out where you can, is what I'm going to say. So,
right.
We're going to talk about that next time. What do you think, Duke? You think that's
I think
a good topic?
I think that's a nice next step, because, as you said, in the West, and you look at the mainline denominations, they're just getting grayer and grayer. I feel like I'm at the church I'm going to now. I'm kind of the youngerish, and I'm 65 years old. It's
Age is just a number.
Age is just a number, but the congregations are aging.
They are.
Something new needs to be born.
Right.
And I think harmony is that invitation to be a part of what God is doing to birth the new.
But don't forget, you have a lot to offer. There's wisdom that comes with age, and we're trying to put out some of that wisdom of things that we've learned in our past life or in our old lifetime to anybody else that might be listening, that might be struggling. They're still searching to learn. I'm still learning, and we'll hope you continue to join us on this journey of learning together. So until next week, we're going to sign off. So thanks so much for joining us, for listening today. Please come back and see us again next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.